Hi, if you give ChatGPT a set of instructions, it can build user interfaces in the language you specify. In this video, we will take a look at how to build this Alarm UI using ChatGPT and SwiftUI. I have already created 9 instructions here, but if you write this well, it can be less than 9 instructions. For example, you can have about 5 or 6 instructions in total. So let's begin with the first one. Create an orange rounded corner radius button in SwiftUI. That is this first instruction that creates the code below. So here we have a button and a label. So let's copy the code and replace the text here. What it did here is it applied the same color for the button label and the background, so we can remove the color of the foreground. Also, the corner radius is not the same, but once you get everything in the code, it is easy to make changes. Let's move on to the next instruction. Our next instruction is to change the button label, because in the first instruction we didn't specify that. We can come here easily to change this, but let's copy the code from here because we gave the instructions and the output is this code. So it changes the label of the button to snooze. Next, we put a large title called Alarm on top of the button. So here it puts everything in a V-stack. So we have the text Alarm, which is large title, and below that we have this button. So let's copy the code and replace the button. In the next instruction, what we will do is to put a stop button below the snooze button. So we have the alarm text, then the snooze button, and below that we have another button. Next, we can tell it to make the stop button gray. So we have the stop button here. In the instruction, I didn't specify whether the label or the background that has to be gray. So it applied gray color to both the foreground and the background. Now we want to put current time of font size 128 on top of alarm. Since we have alarm as text, if we say on top of, that means we want to put another content in front of the text alarm. That is what happened here. So it created a Z-stack and placed the current date in front of alarm. But I said the same thing in one of the instructions. For example, here I said put a large title alarm on top of the button. That was possible because of the button, but here we have the content as text. So let's copy the Z-stack and replace the text. We still don't see anything because here it created the date, but it is using a wrong format. So let's remove this one. We want to use format instead of formatter and set the date time. Since we want the current time, we want to have it in hour and minute. So after date time, we can pass the hour and minute. And that's too big. So let's change the font size to, for example, 64. So you can see it places the date on top of the text. And that is not what we want. So let's go to the next instruction. Here I said, put alarm below the current time. Now it uses a V-stack instead. Let's use a V-stack here and swap the positions. So it now uses the current time of my locale. In the next instruction, we put today's date above the current time. ChatGPT created a V-stack and placed the date just above the current time. But as you can see, it is using a wrong format. So the current time and the date are the same format. We can fix that easily in the code itself. Let's copy the current time and place the copy just above it. We want that to have a normal font size. So let's remove this. And since this is today's date, we have to change the date format. We can use, for example, day, month, and year. And that gives December 10th, 2022. Now we have all the elements we need for the UI. So let's move on to the last instruction. We want to put a spacer above the stop button and another one above the alarm. When you look at the code, you can see we have a spacer here, but that is a wrong place. So I think it didn't understand it really. So let's copy the spacer and put it above alarm. In this section, we have one vstack here, and then the parent container containing all the views is also a vstack. So I think we don't need this one. Then I'll put the spacer above alarm. And above the stop button, I'll put the other spacer. So from here, we can apply any style for the UI. So this is how you can give a set of instructions to create user interfaces. In this video, we created this simple UI in SwiftUI using ChatGPT. Thanks for watching.